Good morning. It's a very big zechut to be here. I just have to tell you the feeling that I had walking in shul this morning before the tefillah to see such a beautiful group sitting and studying together with your Rav. It warmed my heart very much. It's not such a common thing to see, I have to say, with an amazing group of young guys like you that take out the time to get here so early in the morning to learn. And on one hand, it's amazing. On the other hand, it's not surprising. To have a Rabbi like you have is also a very rare thing to have. Such an amazing Talmid Chacham like he is, and truly a Bal Midot like he is, and the whole package altogether. To have such a who cares so much about you and loves you so much, and that you have a Rabbi like that. If I had a Rabbi like that, I would be there as well. So it's a big zechut to have that. Make sure you take full advantage. You know, you don't really need me. You don't really need me speaking here at all. You have such a person here that you know, shmo halech lefanav, and you know, you just appreciate what you have and take full advantage of it. Just going to say a few words today about the 3 weeks that we're in and the 9 days coming up in Tisha Be'av. So Rabbi usually speaks Dvar Halacha at this time. We'll start with a word of Halacha, and then we'll see some hashkafa that comes out of that we can understand. As we know, there's a Halacha that you go to the Kotel for the first time when you go to visit Eretz Yisrael. So you tear kriya, you have to tear the outer garment. There's a pasuk that you say. It's part of the avilut over the Korban Beit HaMikdash that we see the Kotel, we have tsar, and we tear kriya. So I used to live in Beit Vegan for many years. I lived in Beit Vegan outside the old city walls, obviously. And if you learn the sugya, you learn the poskim, you learn the authorities. So you see from them that if you live outside the old city, if you don't go to the Kotel for 30 days, then if you would go visit the Kotel, even if you live in Eretz Yisrael, you live in Yerushalayim, but you're living outside of the old city, you go and you would tear kriya as well. So that's what I used to always do. We would take a special shirt. I would always, cut it a little bit before, make it a little easier, and take it with me and go with my family, and we would tear kriya if we didn't go to the Kotel for 30 days. So then, at some point, my family had like sort of tanot that how come we're the only ones doing this? How come nobody else is doing such a thing? Nobody else that we know in Beit Vegan or these surrounding areas, Harnof, goes and tears kriya if they go to the Kotel. So why are we doing that? Check it out again, because you see, I said it, the poskim say, well, okay, check it out. So I spoke to a very important Rav from the Medats, went to a very important posek, and so he said to me that, he said, truly the minhag is not to tear, even if you live outside of the old city. And he said to me the words, minhag oker halacha, that the minhag, that uproots the halacha, even though the halacha seems to be one way, the minhag overcomes, that takes over. It sounded a little strange to me, so I went afterwards to Rabbi Yashiv, Latzal, the Posakador, and he got very angry when I told him, I didn't say who said it, but a certain Rav said that, and he said, what are you talking about? The Poskim say what they say, you got to do, the halacha is what it is, they say what they say, and you have to tear kriya. So I continued to tear like I did. And then the family again complained after a while, how come we're the only ones doing this? Nobody else is doing this. Asked Rav Shlomo Zalman. So I went to my Rabbi, Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, I took the challenge, and I started telling him over the question. The poskim say like this, and he said he got this like wincing smile on his face like he would do when he's about to say something, and there's a question that didn't make so much sense. So he said, it's true, they say what they say. He said, Aval Gdolim v'tovim himenu, people that are much greater than us did not tear. Living in such places like Beit Vegan. Gdolim v'tovim himenu, many people even greater than us didn't do that. So why would be the case? Why not? Why would they not be tearing? He said, I'll tell you why. He said, it used to be that it was a very difficult thing to get to the Kotel. Very difficult. You couldn't, it was not in our hands, and it was a very big tircha, and very hard and sometimes dangerous to get to the Kotel. So the fact that you didn't go to the Kotel in 30 days doesn't show that you don't have any feeling for the Kotel. It just shows that it's very difficult to get there. He said, but today, you can get to the Kotel as easily as you go to the Tachana Merkazit. You can get on the bus, go to the Kotel, as easy as to go to the central bus station. So he said, somebody who didn't go to the Kotel, and I never heard the way he said it, in these words, he said, someone didn't go to the Kotel, Shloshim Yom, He said it with such pain. Somebody didn't go to the Kotel 30 days, 30 whole days. He said it shows they have no feeling for the Kotel. And therefore, to go and just tear Kriya, if they didn't go 30 days, it's just like he said, chucha v'tlula. It's sort of like it's an empty act. It's just sort of a joke to do that when you really have no feeling for it at all. So he says that's why it is that people don't tear, because they must not really have feeling for it. I think from this halakha, from what he said, it's really indicative of a general feeling what we have for the Kotel, let's say, and even for the Beis Hamikdash. That we're in a period now of the 3 weeks and leading up to the 9 days and then up to Tisha Be'av itself, Chodesh Av coming up. So how much do we really feel this? If we're honest with ourselves, we really have almost no connection to this, if any connection at all. And it's one of the most difficult things to do, to try to go and come to this period of time. And I know that when Shalot come to me, people ask questions on halacha. So during this whole period, I know that I'm going to get a lot of questions that I know it's the 9 days. Can I travel here? Can I do this? Can I have this trip? Can I buy these things? Can I go shopping here? I'm only in New York for a few days. And the constant questions, sort of, in a way, getting out of the whole thing. People go to the Kotel, and they come from America, and I get questions, is it okay for me to sell my shirt to the guy with me, and I'll buy his shirt? And so we don't have to tear each other's shirts, or is it okay if I make sure I go only after Chatzot on Erev Shabbat? So is it okay if I don't tear then, so they're not to tear once I'm there already? Questions on halacha. So everyone's trying their very best to get out of tearing Kriya for the Kotel, and trying to get out of all of these things to do. When I tell them, why are you trying to get out of this? This is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to take an old shirt with you, make a little cut in it, and go and try to feel, I have pain for the Beit HaMikdash, I have pain for the Korban, and it's a chance, it's an opportunity to show that pain and to tear something and to really bring out these feelings. But we don't look at an opportunity, we look at it as something that we try to get away from, try to get out of. And the reason is very simple, like our Auerbach said, because we're so far away from it, so people, I'm sure, are feeling that being so distant from it, without really any feeling for it, then rather than tearing Kriya, people are trying to get out of tearing Kriya. And this is something that's itself is very painful on its own right, that we're so far away and that we really don't have that feeling. And it's not really a new thing. It's an old problem, it's not a new problem. The Shulchan Aruch in the very, very beginning, in Siman Aleph, the Shulchan Aruch says that Roy l'kol yirei shamayim liot mitzar v'doeg al churban beit Elokeinu. It's befitting for any yirei shamayim, anyone who has awe and fear of heaven, that he should have pain and tsar and he should have hurt and pain over the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash. So I heard many times from my Rabbi, Rav Volbe, Zatzal, the great leader of the Musar movement of the last generation. He used to always, in this time of year, he used to always quote the Chidushi Arim, a great Hasidic master, that I had a question on the Shulchan Aruch. Shulchan Aruch was written for all of the Jewish people. Shulchan Aruch was written for everyone, not just for individuals. So, where do you find a halacha in Shulchan Aruch? It's almost not matzui to find something that's written, it's fit for a Yirei Shamayim to do this. Shulchan Aruch is written for everyone. Yirei Shamayim, not Yirei Shamayim. So why would it say only l'chol Yirei Shamayim liot mitzar v'doeg, to be someone that fears heaven, then he should be pained and concerned over the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash. Said the Chidush Arim, only someone who's Yirei Shamayim, only somebody who's working on Yirat Shamayim, who's trying harder to get closer to Hashem, trying harder to get awe and fear of Hashem, only that person can even feel the loss of the Beit HaMikdash. Because that's what the Beit HaMikdash gave us, was Yirat Shamayim. We'll speak more about that in a moment. So he said, what's someone supposed to do if they don't have that feeling, if they're not Yirei Shamayim? Then what do they do? Then he said, the Chidush Arim says, then Roy liot mitzar v'doeg al she'eno Yirei Shamayim. Then he should have pain and fear of the fact that you don't have Yirat Shamayim. You don't have that feeling. It's sort of like the famous story we all know that in '67 when we took the Kotel back from the Arabs. So then there was a lot of Chayalim that were religious that were crying at the Kotel when they first got it, and they're standing and crying. So there was a Chayal who was not religious that was also crying. So they said, what are you crying about? He said, I'm crying because I don't know what there is to cry about. So that's the feeling we need to have, is that if we're not Yerei Shamayim, then we need to be crying over the fact that we're not Yerei Shamayim, and we're so far away that we can't even get to the Kotel, let alone the Beit HaMikdash. So Rav Wolbe went on to say that someone who's truly working on Yerei Shamayim, someone we know how difficult it is, how to have kavanah and tefillah properly, to have proper kavanah when you do mitzvot, to have Yirat Shamayim when you walk in the street, and the way you should act in the street and act in business, and have the Yirat Shamayim that really keeps you in line, and truly working on that and trying to get closer to Hashem. When you see how difficult that is, then we can appreciate what we lost when we lost the Beit HaMikdash. The essence of the Beit HaMikdash was a place that we received Yirat Shamayim. We'll talk about that for a moment. It says in the Torah says that Shalosh Pamim B'Shana Yara'eh Kol Schorcha Et Pnei Adon Hashem. So the 3 times a year you should go and see the countenance, the face of the Master of the world, the Kadosh Baruch Hu. That's what you saw when you saw the Beit HaMikdash. The Gemara in Chagiga says that Lirot v'liraot. So literally it means to go see and be seen. You go to the Beit HaMikdash to see and to be seen. You see Hashem and you be seen by bringing a korban chagiga. You're seen there as well. But the deeper meaning of that is lirot v'liraot. The word lirot, the root of that is the same root as the word yira. Ri'ah v'yira. The Ramban hints to this. This comes from the same root. When you see things that bring you to yira, the sight itself connects you to it and brings you to that Yirat Shamayim. That's why because the heart and the eyes are connected. The Torah says, Lo taturu achrei lavchem v'achrei nechem. The eyes are connected to the heart. Yira is in the heart. And that's why on Shabbat, you can break Shabbat to cure anything with the eyes, because the eyes is considered an internal ailment, because it's connected to the heart, something inside. What you see with your eyes, that right away penetrates and affects the heart. So when we went to the Beit HaMikdash and we saw the feeling of the Shekhinah there, that went right into our hearts, and that brought us to Yirat Shamayim. So that's what the Torah says. You go Shalosh Pamim B'Shana Lirot V'Liraot, to see and then have Yira, to have fear when you go there. The Ramban speaks many times that the Hemshech of Har Sinai was the Beit HaMikdash. At Har Sinai, it says that we saw all the miracles over there. We saw the lightning and the thunder, and we heard the Shekhinah. We heard Kadosh Baruch Hu speak to us, and it says that they all became very afraid, and they said, like, we don't want to hear anymore. And Moshe said, Al tiro, don't be afraid. Hashem is showing all this. You should have Yirat Shamayim upon your faces. Upon on your essence, you have Yirat Shamayim, and then you will not sin after that. And the continuation of that Har Sinai was in the Beit HaMikdash. That's what we had over there. That's why the Gemara says in Baba Batra, says, Kimitzion Tetzei Torah U'Devar Hashem Yerushalayim. From Zion comes out Torah, and from the Beit HaMikdash comes the Torah comes from there. How is that so? Says Tosfot that when people would go to the Beit HaMikdash 3 times a year, and you would see the Kohanim doing their Avodah, you would feel the Shekhinah, you would see the Anshe Avodah, the Anshe Yira over there. He said, Hayo Nofel Aleim Yirat Shamayim. Then Yirat Shamayim would come upon the people, and then they would take that back to their cities, v'yasku Torah, because Reshit Chachma Yirat Hashem. The beginning of all really learning Torah is Yirat Shamayim. So without Yirat Shamayim, we don't have Chachmat Hashem. We started off, all the Klai Yisrael received the Torah. Hashem didn't just give us a book, He didn't give us a Sefer, He gave us lightning and thunder, and from there came the Torah. So all of Klai Yisrael had Reshit Chachma Yirat Hashem. And that was passed down through all the Dorot, that we continue to have that Yirat Shamayim through the Beit HaMikdash. We brought that back to our cities, and then we could learn Torah. He says, Tosa says, Mitoch HaYirah. That's what we say every day. That Yirat Samach Fenecha Hashem Elokeinu, Shebana Beit HaMikdash Meher V'Yameinu, V'ten Chalkeinu B'Toratecha, V'sham Navadcha B'Yirah. We have the Chalkeinu B'Toratecha, depends on us serving Hashem B'Yirah, B'Yirat Shamayim, that we got from the Beit HaMikdash. So, and really the essence of Beit HaMikdash is in Yerushalayim. Why is it called Yerushalayim? So the Midrash says there was a machloket a very early machloket between Avram Avinu and Malki Tzedek. Malki Tzedek was Melech Shalem, which was the area of Yerushalayim. So he wanted the city should be called Shalem. Avram bikesh likaro Yirah. He wanted to call it Yirah. There's a place of Yirah, a place where the Shekhinah comes. So Hashem is Mitzaref to put the two together, and he put Yeru Shalayim, Yirah and Shalem together. That's why it's called Yerushalayim. And Yaakov Avinu, he went to sleep there in this place. He didn't realize what it was. He went to daven there. Hashem skipped him, made a nest, and he skipped him over, and he slept over there. And he put around his head the stones. He was afraid of the Chayot Ra'ot, of the animals. And he went to sleep. And when he woke up, it says that he said, he said, Man nora makom hazeh. He saw the vision of the Malachim going up to Shemayim and back down again, and he realized he's in such a holy place. He said, Man nora makom hazeh, inzeh kim beis Elokim zeh shar Shemayim. So says one of the great rabbis, the Brisker Rav, that Yaakov, the Torah doesn't just tell emotions. V'yar v'yomar. It says, V'yar v'yomar. He had fear and he said. The Torah doesn't just tell emotions, it tells halachot. So it's when it says V'yar v'yamar, at that time when he had the fear, he was kovea halachot. That we have the Gemara says Lo mina mikdash tayirei el mishit tziva lemikdash. The dinei moram mikdash. There are halachot of fear of the Beit HaMikdash. So we're supposed to act in a certain way, not carrying your backpack there, not spitting, not walking with your shoes there or your stick. You have to add Yirat Shamayim. Yaakov Avinu was kovea that V'yar v'yamar, who's kovea those halachot of Yira at that place. So we can't imagine the kind of Yirat Shamayim that Klal Yisrael got every time they went to the Beit HaMikdash. And when we lost it, we can't imagine what life is like when we really had true Yirat Shamayim. We live, surrounded by, whether it's Dallas or it's LA, we're surrounded by all what we see, and it's very, very hard for a person to bring themselves to Yirat Shamayim, but we're surrounded by this type of thing. It's already an early discussion that happened. The Gemara says that Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, one of the greatest Tanaim of all time, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, when he was on his deathbed, it says that his Talmidim came and said, Rabbeinu Barchenu, give us a bracha. So he said, Yiratzon shi'emor shamayim aleichem kamora basar v'dam. Yiratzon, may Hashem's will be, you should have as much fear as Hashem as you have regular people, flesh and blood people, basar v'dam. So they said, Rebbe, is that it? Is that all you can give us? And he said, Halavai. Halavai, you should have that. Because you see that a person does an Avera Baseter in a hidden place, and he says, Halavai Shalai Rani Adam. Halavai, a person shouldn't see me do it. So you see a person has more fear from another person than they do from Hashem. What is this back and forth? How do we understand this discussion? That he said what he said, they said to give a bracha, he said what he said, and how do we understand this? I think the way we understand it is that Yochanan ben Zakkai was the Gadol Ador at the time of the Churban Beit HaMikdash, the second Beit HaMikdash. We know the story comes of Kamsa, and he was taken out of the city, and then finally the destruction happened during his time. And now his Talmidim are now in the period post Beit HaMikdash. But for sure, he had told them all about what it was like in Beit HaMikdash and the Yirat Shamayim that they got to, and the closest to Hashem that they had, as long as they had a Beit HaMikdash. So when he was about to die, they wanted a bracha that they should have some of that. They should have some of what there was before, in the generation that he saw, the greatness that he saw. And he said, you should have Yirat Shamayim like a basar v'dam. They said, Rebbe, is that all? You told us about the Yirat Shamayim you got in the Beit HaMikdash, that you actually, Hashem was palpable, Hashem was, you could feel Hashem, you can live with Hashem in such a way, that's the only bracha you can give us? And he answered, Halavai. And he said, you should know, that's exactly what we lost. What you're asking for, you can't have anymore. That's precisely what we lost, and we lost the Beit HaMikdash. We lost that level, and now at this point, Halavai, you should have the recognition of Hashem like you do of another person. Don't expect for it to be beyond that. Halavai, you should get to that level, because he recognized that, he realized that. So I think that something we can take away is the eitzah we have during this time is to make Yirat Shamayim into an esek. Study Sifrei Yiras, Sifrei Musar. Study these things and try to work on Yirat Shamayim. When you do, if a person works on that, and their Kiyum Mitzvot in a way through Yirat Shamayim, try to study that, try to work on that, and we'll see how difficult it is, and we'll see what we're missing, what we need to have. And that way we can possibly have a little bit of a connection when we see how difficult it is. And then when we says that Kol HaMitabel al Churban Miktashenu Zochev V'Ro'eh B'Binyano. It says, now take a look at the Lashon, it's very precise. It does not say Yizkeh V'Yireh B'Binyano. It doesn't say you will merit and you will see its building. It says zochev, present tense. You're seeing it being built. What does that mean? If you're metabel al beit Elokeinu, zochev, present tense. I don't see it now. Where's the Beit HaMikdash? Why does it say present tense? The answer is that the real place for the Beit HaMikdash is not some kind of a building out there. The real place of the Beit HaMikdash is Bilvavi Mishkan Evne. In my heart, I build the Mishkan. It says that the Beit HaMikdash was built mitoch our heart. The true mother was taken from the heart, because it says V'shachanti b'tocham. I dwell not in it, I dwell in them. The Beit HaMikdash is a conduit. It's a pipeline that through the Beit HaMikdash He dwells in our hearts, in our houses, in our families. That it's a way to bring the Shekhinah down to us. So the main place for the Beit HaMikdash is really in our hearts. So the moment we feel the lack of the Beit HaMikdash, and we feel the lack of Yirat Shamayim, and we try to work on our Yirat Shamayim, then we actually Bilvavi Mishkan Eva. I'm building the heart, in my heart right now, the Beit HaMikdash. That's why Zochev, present tense, we can actually merit to the building of the Beit HaMikdash in our hearts right now, if we actually work on Yirat Shamayim and we feel the lack of the Beit HaMikdash, and we try to build our hearts. So we should be zocheh to make our hearts to build fortresses of Torah, that we can have mini Beit HaMikdash, like in this Beit Knesset. Everybody should think during this time to try to not just come yourself, try to think of a friend you can bring along with you. Come to the shir or to the tefillah. Everyone has. There's so many people out there that maybe they would, if somebody would invite them, they would come in and they would. That way, you're also building the Beit HaMikdash by building more Jews into the Mikdash Ma'at, into the Beit Knesset, and to come here to be Yaakov Avinu put the stones around his head in that place. Those stones, it says that the Beit HaMikdash, when it was burnt, it was exploded. The Midrash says it exploded, but tishtapechna avni kodesh rosh kol chutzot, that it exploded. The stones of the Beit HaMikdash landed kol chutzot in all the faraway places. Everywhere one of those stones landed, it became a cornerstone for a Beit Midrash, Beit HaMikdash, for Beit Knesset. That the cornerstone of all of these, or the Beit Knesiot and all the Beit Midrash, is the stones of the Beit HaMikdash. So when you come into this place, into this room, and you learn Torah with the Rav, then you're actually a little bit walking back into Beit HaMikdash. So the more people we can bring into, and more people you get to join this and to build this stronger and stronger, that this place should be way, way too small. Way too small for all the people that are banging on the doors to come in and to join and to be here. And that way, Mitzvah Hashem will build the Beit HaMikdash in our hearts, and we'll all be zocheh to see the Beit HaMikdash from Harav Yerachmiel. Amen.